What's up, everybody? I was the guy who filmed Amber Heard with the bruise on her face at the Stanley Moss Courthouse in 2016. I'm Jesse Rowe, and I'm on the Hollywood Raw podcast to talk all about it.
Hey, guys, welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page. Make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe.
Do all the fun things.
Follow
everything. We're here to entertain you guys.
What are you waiting for? Hurry up. Let's go.
Enjoy.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. My name's Adam Glyn, joined by my friend Dax Holt. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing good. I'm excited about our guest today. Jesse Rowe is back. I did not expect him to be back so soon until we found out he was the guy outside the courthouse that actually shot Amber Heard coming out the day when she had the big old bruise on her face. And if you were watching the court case the other day with Johnny and Amber, Morgan Tremaine, who is also someone that we both worked at TMZ, he talked about dispatching a field reporter out to the courthouse that day. Well, this is him. Jesse Rowe was the guy that got dispatched to the courthouse that day to get the shot. And so he is coming on the podcast today to talk all about it and just kind of, how that day unfolded and, his opinions of Amber. And, not every day do you get to talk to someone that was there, in such a big moment in history.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Jesse. If this is your first time checking out the Hollywood Raw podcast, we are the #1 pro-bisexual podcast in the entertainment news podcast space out there. Yes, if you listen to another podcast, you are anti-bisexual. Us, we don't really care. We do whatever you want. But the other podcasts out there are very anti-bisexual. Just giving you a heads up.
Where do you come up with this shit?
I don't come up with it. It's in the charts. If you look up the charts, Dax, you will find that we are the #1 pro-bisexual entertainment podcast out there. All the other ones are
last week. What were we last week? Anti-child trafficking podcast.
Yeah, listen. These are the charts, Dax. I don't make them. These are what
so ridiculous.
This is what the press does. But what we also do on this podcast is we humanize Hollywood. We reveal the fourth wall of Hollywood. What does that mean? We talk to celebrities, yes, but we also talk to the people that made these celebrities famous. We also talk to paparazzi, bodyguards, to some of the big celebrity journalists out there. It's just a really, really, if you love Hollywood, everything in Hollywood, we are going to make it so real to you and show you like what goes on and what makes this one of the cool. This is what makes show business. This is the backbone of show business because there's a lot of bullshit in this industry, and we kind of go through the bullshit.
There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in this industry, and it's like, let's take that away and show you how the paparazzi get called to make the celebrities famous so that celebs are now put into a magazine or on the websites so that they can continue being relevant when they're not making a movie, so that they're more desirable to a production company because, oh, look, everyone cares about them. They're all over the websites. And it's all a bunch of trickery and magic, and we love it, and we like revealing how the magic works, how it all goes down. And, I think some of our most interesting episodes are these news producers or paparazzi or people in the industry that are truly there to enhance the celebrity. And today we're getting a producer that used to work at TMZ on here, field producer Jesse Rowe. And I think you guys are going to be fascinated with this story.
You're going to find out why people consider this the jubilee of all podcasts. Before we get to Jesse Rowe, Jackson one
said nobody anywhere.
Yeah. Before we get to Jesse, we do a thing where if you leave a review, say a few kind words, 5-star only, we'll actually read your review live on air. How do you do that? Go to iTunes, okay? You go to podcasts, search Hollywood Raw Podcast, and go all the way to the bottom. Go all the way to the bottom. That's right. Go all the way to the bottom. And then you can actually leave a review, 5 stars. Say that. Put your name, your real name in there so we know it's you. And we'll give you a good shout out. And Dax, you have some reviews ready?
I do. All right, this one came for King for Love. It says, awesome podcast, 5 stars. Love the celeb guests on the show because they are rare, interesting, and one. This podcast makes the entertainment industry likable, which can be hard to do. Even that can be hard to do at times. Bravo. Thank you, King. Again, like Adam said, please put your name, like sign it your name, so I can actually read your name.
Yeah, we don't even care if
rather
you
than just King for love, because
we don't even care if you have spelling grammar. Just do it. You know, that's what is. I don't know. There were some spelling errors in that, but it's okay.
All right, and then let's do this one. Recently found you guys, 5 stars, great podcast. Thanks for entertaining us with straight up solid content and getting to the point without mindless, wordy chit chat. Oh, and this is from C Skinny. So thank you, C Skinny. No, we really appreciate that, because sometimes people say, you know, that I don't know, like they like the chit chat, and that's never been our thing. Like the kind of like just mindless chit chat. We like to have an interview. We like to have content to bring for you guys. So I honestly, truly appreciate you saying that.
Yes. With that said, let's get on with the show. Dax, tell us about our guest today.
Our guest today is a second-time offender to the Hollywood Raw podcast. Jesse Rowe is back. Jesse spent over a decade at TMZ as a field producer. He was the one manning the courthouse. 5 years at the courthouse, covering some of the biggest court cases in history. But the court case that everyone has been talking about is obviously Amber and Johnny, and its resolution. Well, come to find out, Jesse Rowe was the man in front of the courthouse the day Amber walked out with the bruise, and we want to get into it. Jesse, welcome back to the Hollywood Raw podcast.
So we got our friend Jesse Rowe back on the podcast. Jesse, how are you, bud?
Great, man. How you guys doing?
We're doing well, thank you. Dax is doing fine. I answered for him. But listen, Jesse is a great, legendary former
Jesse,
TMZ.
you got legendary added to your title.
I say
deal.
Jesse's legendary because he's a former field producer for TMZ, you know, and when I mean legendary, I say it because Jesse's thing, his specialty, the thing that he was a black belt in, was doing all the court cases. So he was dealing with the monster fans outside. He was in the courthouse trying to figure out where door these people go in and out of. Like, I hated that job, but Jesse was really good at covering that job. He was just very intelligent. He knew all like the legal words. He dealt with all the lawyers. You liked working the courthouses, right, Jesse?
I did, mainly because, by the way, appreciate legendary. That's very hyperbolic of you, but I still appreciate it. I liked covering it. I think the way I would always put it is when you work in this industry, you cover a lot of things that don't interest you. But when you get the court cases, the press conferences, the live streams, things like that, you're kind of at the center of like the biggest story of the day. And I really enjoyed doing that because it was you get to like go home feeling like you covered something that you were genuinely interested in, and not, you know, talking to the guy that played MacGyver about what his favorite invention he came up with MacGyver. Like, that stuff was fun. All that stuff for TMZ was fun, but it wasn't the same thing as like the big high profile news stories, which is what you got at court.
And
which is why I enjoyed it.
I mean, and you were a part of a lot of the big court cases, but you know. Listen, we've had you on, but what really kind of brought us all back together was this Johnny Depp court case, and you know, us texting on the back end saying, "Hey guys, did you watch Morgan?" Because Morgan Tremaine, who all three of us know very, very well, worked at TMZ with us, and we all saw him on the stand talking. Number one, I was shocked. Were you guys shocked to see him there?
I was. It was crazy. I couldn't. I mean, I was literally looking at the YouTube. I was watching like the Law and Justice and Law YouTube channel. I forget what it's called, but the chat room was just like loving him, and I'm like, that guy was. I worked for that guy for like 2 years. It was just strange. It was surreal to see it happen like that.
It was weird. I worked alongside of him when we worked in the like digital department. He was shooting a lot of our videos that I was filming, and then moved over and was kind of helping control all the TMZ field producers and kind of navigating where they would be going. So we all know him really well, obviously, and watched him on the court case. What I didn't realize, Jesse, when we had you on, was you were the guy at the court that Morgan was talking about, covering the Amber Heard case.
Yeah,
I did not realize you were the guy.
So I actually mentioned it when I was on the last time with you guys. I mentioned it that I was there, but I think it was like a throwaway line that I'd mentioned it. But yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the biggest shots like ever in terms of just stories that I covered for TMZ, just because, you know, there are breakthrough stories when you work in a company like that. And, you know, there's obviously like Chris Brown, Rihanna, Michael Jackson, Britney, all that stuff. But Amber Heard and Johnny Depp was one of those stories that was like it was a shock to the system that you couldn't believe it. And yeah, I mean, it was all the media that was there. We were like all just parked up on the right side on the left side of the doors.
So I want to get, hold on.
Okay.
I want to show, like, let's go through the evolution of your career and some of the other things that you've seen at the courthouse, because I feel like this Amber conversation, we really need to dive in, and I want to give it plenty of time. But I want to talk about some of these other court cases that you have done, that you have covered in the past, that were memorable, that maybe we didn't talk about on the last episode we had you on. Because I remember you bringing up something with Aaron Carter in the past. So, like, lead us through so that we can really give the Amber story, like, its full potential here.
Yeah. Okay. So when you cover court cases, you're essentially, at least my job was, I don't want to give like too much away here, but you're filming inside when you have a media request and you get approved by the judge or the bailiff or whatever, that you can film the court case, right? Mm-hmm. So that's your primary motive. If you're not allowed, if you're denied, you basically have to just wait to talk to the celebrity outside and try to get a statement from them or their lawyer, their representation, whoever's there with them. So with Aaron Carter, I was denied a request to film in the court because it was a civil matter. It was with him and his family. If I remember correctly, it was a dissolution or like a divorce of Aaron from the family, something like that, where he was, I don't remember the exact details, but he was going through a hard time at the time. I mean, obviously he's had his issues. This was one of his lower points where his family was literally like pushing him away. Mm-hmm. And I have to basically sit inside the courthouse for like 4 or 5 hours, just like waiting for him to leave. And his sister and his brother-in-law are aware that I'm there. I've made it clear that I'm there. I'm letting them know, like, just FYI, I'm here. I'm not trying to be weird, but I'm going to have to talk to somebody. Whoever goes outside first, I'm going to have to talk to you. And while I'm sitting there, Aaron walks out of the courtroom and he is fuming. I mean, something just happened inside. I wasn't allowed in the courtroom. And he is fuming, and him and his sister and his brother-in-law, not Nick Carter, but his brother-in-law, start having this like just all-out blowout argument right there. And I'm just sitting on the courtroom chair right outside the courtroom. And I mean, he's saying things like, I'm never going to speak to you again. We're done. I don't want to ever, I wish I never called you family. It was all the worst things you can say. And, you know, his brother, and I'll never forget, because they were like staring at me like, are you getting this sort of deal? And it was the word right after that, Aaron Carter realizes that I'm there. He kind of figured it out. And I'm like, I'm not recording. You're not allowed to record in a courthouse. So this is just like my own personal experience that I'm having to like just sit there and deal with while I wait for him to go outside so I can try to get him to talk to me. And as I'm going with him outside, Aaron Carter basically turns to me and says, I'm going to say one thing to you. And I'm saying one thing, you got to leave me alone. And I'm like, okay, no problem. That's fine. And yeah, on camera. And we walk out of the courthouse and I get my camera ready. And then he in the middle of like still yelling at his sister, like all the way down inside the courthouse. I believe the security started asking him to leave. I don't want to be mistaken on that, but he walks out and I get the camera up and he just looks at me and goes, no, not today. And then runs away.
What?
Yeah. He was telling me that he was going to talk to me, but they used the footage. We actually used the footage of him telling me, no, not today and all that, because it was him leaving court. Like he had lost in court. So that was the story, that it was like a bad day for him. But that was one of the more.
Wait, okay.
It was just it was a sad story to cover. That was one of the sadder stories.
What's your view on Aaron Carter? Because we had a really interesting episode with Aaron Carter where like I walked away feeling bad for him, feeling like he gave us like the most honest answers and then the feedback came from people that, oh, he's just a liar and bullshitter and all this kind of stuff. What's your view on him? Because I cannot figure this guy out.
I mean, child star. That's my view on him, I guess. It's like I think that those types of celebrities are bred a different way when they get older. I mean, I think everybody's view changed on him when he put the tattoo on his face. I think that changed everybody's view on him. But my view on him is I think he is a very misunderstood guy, a very troubled guy. And I think that early fame has lingering effects on anybody, and it affects people differently. Like some people, like DiCaprio, they handle their fame or at an early age really well. People like Aaron Carter, they don't. I think it's a classic story. And what I can't figure out is like, it seems like or his Instagrams, doesn't he it seems like I think he like privated his Instagram once and then like he unlocked it and he was engaged or something. It was really bizarre, but he like,
Our whole conversation with him was very bizarre, but
yeah.
fascinating at the same time.
I also liked him. I believed him. Yeah, he came on our podcast.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and we thought like, honestly, I thought he was like a really nice guy. Like I felt for him, but then I'm like, oh, did I just get fooled? Because he seemed pretty sane, and and I still don't know. Like I don't know which side to believe. However, face tattoos were pretty intense, and I don't know. I'm still confused by that interview because I want to believe him. You want to root for the best for him. However, I don't know if he's going the right path or he's on the right route.
Yeah, I mean, I can't make a medical diagnosis on him or anything, but just based on what I saw.
Go listen to the episode we had him on.
Yeah.
Again, just like Adam said, like I felt for the guy. I was like, oh man, like this is a rough childhood, rough life. Like basically pitting two brothers against each other, and then one brother got more famous, which was technically Aaron first, and then and then his brother, and our was the other way around, but Aaron had more success on his own, which apparently pissed off his brother Nick. I don't know. Again, this is all coming from Aaron, so I don't know.
He was like the OG Bieber, though, kind of like before Bieber. It was Aaron Carter. He just didn't have the longevity of like, maybe he came around like 5 years too early or something, because it just seems like it fizzled out for him in a way it didn't for Bieber. But
yeah, maybe his song "I Want Candy" really meant "I want cocaine."
Yeah,
I want cocaine.
Well, when did he wrote it when he was like 12?
Yeah.
Well, it was a cover. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cover. He knew what he was going to do. What was the most embarrassing incident you ever had while working the courts? Have you ever the one moment you wish you could get back?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. I'm sure you know, Adam. You mince your words, or you bite your tongue in an interview, and you say embarrassing things. But in terms of being absolutely embarrassed, probably another court case where I was I was on an assignment for Dame Dash. Is it Dame Dash?
Dame Dash.
And Jay-Z's former business partner, right?
Dame Dash.
Yeah. So I was at the Stanley Mosque Courthouse, and he was there at a tip that he was there for some sort of like a financial issue. Like, I don't know if it was bankruptcy or it was he owed money in some not child support, but he owed money to somebody that he didn't have, something along those lines. And I knew who he was, but this is an issue you run into where sometimes you see pictures of people and it's not the same when you're in person with them, where you see them in person, and when you look at them in pictures and they have a very distinct face, like, oh, that's a famous person face, but then you see them in person and they're a different height than you were expecting them to be. And then because they're a different height that you were expecting them to be, their face is completely different than what the picture looks like to you. So I see this guy coming out of the courtroom that I knew that this case was happening in, and I think it's Dame Dash, but I'm not totally sure that it's Dame Dash, and he's with some girl, and there was literally nobody else there, so I just assumed it had to be him, and so I had to go with him, because this is another example of not being allowed to film in the courtroom, so I had to wait until I could get the interview afterwards. And I assumed we were just going to go out the front door. But what I didn't realize was that he actually parked like 4 floors down on the other side of the building. So I have to get into the elevator with this guy that I'm not even sure is actually Dame Dash. Like, I'm not even convinced. So I get in the elevator with him, just like, hey, what's up? This is a lesson learned. I probably should have just asked him, because he turned out to be very nice. But so I pull my phone out and I'm just Googling. I have Dame Dash's Google images pulled up on my phone, and I'm looking down at it. I'm looking up, looking down, looking up, and I look up, and then I didn't realize that, like, while I looked up, I had tilted my phone a little bit, and I look up and he's looking straight down at my phone with pictures of him all over the screen. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of, you know, like, are you looking at pictures of me right now? And I'm like, and I said, you know, I'm actually really happy you said that, because I wasn't actually sure it was you. Because I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm here with TMZ. I'm covering you for a story. I wasn't sure if it was you. This is a really embarrassing moment. He was actually very cool about it, but he was giving me a pretty hard time on the walk out. Like, you're not very good at your job if you didn't know it was me. But that's also pretty grandiose of him, where he just thinks everybody knows what he looks like. So
that's so funny.
It was embarrassing. And then I go outside and I have to ask him about financial problems, which is not fun. And he was super nice, just like gave me what I needed without saying, you know, anything, which is always good, because you feel like they don't ruin their own day, you don't ruin their day, but they still give you something that's usable. And you know, he just answered the questions without saying he was in financial trouble. So it made me feel good. I felt really bad. It was embarrassing, but it went well.
Oh, yeah. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been caught by a celeb Googling them. So
I've never been caught Googling a celebrity. However, I've never been the person. I feel like a lot of people that do our job, Jesse, they have their camera in one hand and their phone in the other. So they're reading off their phone. I always felt so awkward doing that. I think most people do that, and it's not, I don't know. I think that's always a weird thing to do. Like, when the celebrity's looking at you and you're just reading questions off your phone, It's like, no, just have a conversation with them. I don't know. It's weird when people do that for just any random celebrity, where you can just have a conversation. The clip's probably going to work. You can just ask like a general topic and that's fine. But I would only do that if it was like a big enough story where it was like, there's a lot riding on the clip, where the getting a soundbite or not getting the right soundbite is the difference between a story going viral or just being another flop. And so I only did that if I actually absolutely needed a question that I couldn't forget, because if you have like 5 questions you need to ask somebody, sometimes you just have to. But if I'm just talking like to Dame Dash or something, I know this is the topic I have to ask about. You have that one question and then you can flow from there. It's not a mandate. Yeah, I guess maybe I've had to, like, there's been times where I was being told to ask the question just like this, because they knew the person wasn't going to speak. However, that was the story, that the person wasn't speaking when they're asked a very basic question, a very direct question. So I was told to kind of say it very precisely. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, though, because not speaking on a certain question is a news story. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And also sometimes probably for like if it's going to go up on a website or on a television show, even if they're not talking, you just want the question to be there, because then itself that's the soundbite that they're going to use for when it's posted. So it's sometimes just ask it the way you want. So that makes sense, but I know what you mean. Sometimes you have to ask it in a certain way, or it's not going to be. You're not going to be in good shape.
So Jesse, when you're outside court, as we saw at the Johnny Depp case, there's maniacs outside this court case. I'm sorry if you're a Johnny Depp fan, standing outside.
I would almost say the Britney stuff has had even more crazy people outside.
Yeah, there's maniacs out there. Have you by any chance ever had your equipment stolen just by standing out there like someone robbed you?
No, I have a great story though. Okay, so Dax, you probably remember him, Simon Cardoza.
Yes.
Okay, so one day he was at court. I don't know who he was filming. He was filming a lawyer, and he's an old TMZ camera guy. He's filming a lawyer, and so I never had my gear stolen on the job. But he was in the middle of filming. I don't know if you can find this clip. If you could, I might have it somewhere. It's incredible. He's filming a lawyer talking about something, and this video is going to go nowhere. It's just boring legal mumbo jumbo, like he's representing a celebrity who didn't show up for the hearing, that sort of thing. And in the middle of shooting it, you see this kid in the background, and he's sort of like he's like a 17-year-old kid. It's downtown LA, and he's sort of like swirling in the background of the shot like this, and you see him kind of like eyeing the camera. And about 15 seconds later, the camera shot just shakes, and then the camera is zooming across the street because the kid had just stolen Simon's camera in the middle of a shot. And so Simon and this like a PA that was there there on the scene ended up flagging him down in like a parking lot like 3 blocks away. But the guy, it was recording the whole time. So the whole time the footage is recording. And it's just a shaky shot of like running through the streets of LA. It's incredible. It was an amazing shot.
Did TMZ post that footage?
Yeah, it was on the TV show.
You think I would remember something like that? I don't remember that at all, but it sounds like something we would definitely have posted.
It's a lawyer that I wouldn't even know who it was. It was 2008, I want to say 2009, around there. So it was a long time, 13 years ago, but incredible footage.
I'm gonna have to go Google that one. Refresh my memory on that story.
But never on the job have I had anything stolen from me. I don't know about you, Adam, but I haven't.
No, I never did. How was Gloria Allred to you?
I actually have a good relationship with her daughter, Lisa. Who made news today, actually. She's getting some criticism for statements made about the Heard Depp case. But Gloria was always good. I filmed her at an airport once, and at the airport, and she was, I think I was asking about Lindsay Lohan for some reason. She was in the news. Oh, I asked her if she would ever represent Lindsay Lohan, because she was having so much legal trouble, and she like 3 DUIs or whatever it was. And Gloria says, I will never represent Lindsay Lohan. I will never represent her. And then so I'm, okay, thank you, Gloria. That was great. That's all I needed from you. And I turned the camera off. And then she tells me, turn the camera back on. And she like does her like hair for a second. And then she just tells me all about this other case that she's working on that we would never use.
No one would care about.
Yeah. But that's who she was. She was like, if there's a camera there, she will.
And let's be realistic. Let's be completely honest here. We all know that if Lindsay Lohan needed a lawyer, Gloria Allred would be the first person in line with her hand up saying, this cameras will follow Lindsay Lohan. I will be there as well. Let's be realistic.
Yeah. No question about it. I mean, Gloria Allred was, she loved to represent celebrity clients. She loved it. But she still always found a way to make herself the celebrity, though. So it was kind of irrelevant, like who she was representing. Didn't she have that famous moment with like the baseball bat press conference where she shows
stroking the baseball bat?
Yeah. That was one of my favorite. That's my favorite Gloria Allred moment.
Did you ever go to her office where she would do a press conference?
Yes, I did. I went to Lisa Bloom's a lot in the Valley, but I probably only went to Gloria's 2 or 3 times. But I did go there a couple times.
We once had an interview with Gloria Allred, but we literally couldn't get anything out of her. Like we went in circles and circles, and she is such a lawyer that she wouldn't answer any question we threw at her. It was like,
Right.
we couldn't get her to say anything. It was like, what's your favorite case ever do? All of my cases are my favorite case. I'm like, oh God, Gloria, come on. You've been a part of like the most famous cases of all times. O.J. Simpson, Tiger Woods. I mean, the list goes on and on, and she couldn't give us a single straight answer.
No, she speaks in... She's fluent in mental gymnastics. She'll find a way to get out of saying something. But she's so good at it. She's so pro that you kind of just stand there in awe because it's so professional.
All right, let's get into Amber Heard. That's why people are here. They want to hear all about your connection with Morgan Tremaine. In total honesty, I did reach out to Morgan to see if he wanted to come on the podcast a couple times, and he very politely declined, just kind of saying he wasn't into all the fanfare. I mean, listen, I've known the guy for a very long time, so I thought maybe there was a chance he'd stop by and talk to us. Not about the case, because I didn't want him to get in trouble, and even anything TMZ related. I didn't want that. I just wanted to see what it was like being a part of this total S show. You know what I'm saying? And having that much attention and everyone talking about you and becoming memes and then being like the number one thing on Twitter that's trending. So I just wanted to hear about the experience, but it sounds like he wants this stuff to like kind of die down and go away. And maybe he also doesn't want to make it feel like it's a 15 minutes of fame kind of thing, because then he's kind of like proving that lawyer correct. But during his time on the stand, he talked about a time when he basically instructed a field reporter or a field producer and a guy with a camera, which was you, to be outside the courthouse for when Amber Heard exited. Correct? Yes, that is definitely correct, and it goes deeper than that. But he. So you tell me from your perspective what that day was like, that you were called and said Amber Heard is going to be at the courthouse. What went down? Give me the whole rundown of the day. So, yeah, I was sent to the courthouse, and there was, I think it was probably noon, because I think she filed her TRO in the early afternoon, like when court opened up at like 1 p.m. But I had to get there at like noon, so I was waiting around for, a few hours. And, media starts showing up. I was one of the early ones there, and media starts showing up, and it goes, I assumed that nobody knew that she was there, but then all of a sudden, CNN and Fox News and NBC and all these organizations, and then, all the paparazzi agencies start showing up. So literally everyone had gotten wind of it for somehow or at some point. 40 people, like 40 to 50 news reporters. You could probably see it in the video from that day. Maybe 30, maybe I'm exaggerating, but around there, 30 to 40. And everybody knew to stand at a certain spot outside the door because it was clear that it was circulating that there was a bruise on the right side of Amber's face. And so in my video, and I'm standing on the right side because I don't want to miss it. But it was chaos. I was getting pushed around by media because they were so adamant about getting the shot of the right side of her face. But everyone knew this. It just generally seemed, I can't say yet one way or the other whether everybody knew that she was going to have a bruise, but it was like everybody wanted to stand on the right side. And she walks out, and the cameras are all sort of, after they're standing on the right, they sort of circle around her a little bit, and she stops and kind of starts like doing a 180 a little bit, just so everybody can see it. And I personally didn't. Do you think Amber knew everyone was outside the courthouse before she exited the courthouse? Yes, I think that she was aware. And second follow-up, could she have done another exit? There are
4 other ways to, either 3 or 4 other ways to get out of that courthouse. So, because there's the Grand entrance up on Grand Avenue. There's the Hill Street entrance. That's four levels below that entrance, and then there are 2 entrances on each side of the building, which are, one is on First Street, and then one is in the inner courtyards of the downtown courthouse that has, it's like a big courtyard where there's food trucks and stuff. There's another exit there.
And is there then also a Disney concert hall tunnel exit?
So I was getting to that. There's also an underground parking garage, which like people like Britney Spears use all the time. And people like, even people like Trevor Bauer of the Dodgers used this exit. So this is available to you if you don't want to deal. If there's a ton of media outside, it is available to you. So if the police there at the courthouse don't want you, are worried that you're not comfortable with all the media, they will give you the option to have a friend drive down to this underground parking garage across the street where they can sort of escort you through an underground walkway that will lead you there. So
she chose,
but she elected not
where all the paps.
I can't say one way or the other.
News agencies, the reporters, the producers. She chose that exit.
I can't say one way or the other that she chose it, but I mean, I'd be very surprised if it wasn't discussed as an option for them and her people, her camp, to you choose another exit, because it just so happened to be the exit with all the reporters. Yeah, so it's like there's 4 exits and there's one that has all the reporters. There's a couple that are down on like their exits generally, like people have backup where you have an extra photographer or an extra camera guy down on the other entrance or one of the other entrances just in case. But generally the media will all congregate up on Grand as the primary exit and entrance. And that's where she walked out that day. And it felt to me that she wanted to be on camera. That's what it felt like.
Did it feel like to you that she was trying to hide her face or show her face?
Well, show her face, and that's revealed, I think, and I don't actually make a judgment call on this. I've had some really in-depth conversations with my wife about this, where she's had to kind of change my mind a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it doesn't matter to me whether she wants to show her face or not. That's sort of irrelevant to me in terms of like what the allegations mean. But in terms of that day and that moment, she claimed that she always wore makeup, and that day she didn't. So it felt like it was it felt like she wanted it to be seen. That's what I can say. It felt like it.
I'm looking back at the photos right now, and I forgot what a pretty hearty bruise it was on her cheekbone, and her hair is pulled back, like the hair that could normally fall and cover her cheekbones, or even if she wore sunglasses would cover. And she's got her hair pulled tucked behind her ears, no sunglasses, walking out. So, I mean, clearly wanted that to be seen.
Sorry, Jesse, go on.
Sorry, really quick. It was fine. It wasn't an issue for me that she wanted it to be seen. I'll just put it that way. But other people have made their opinions about it. To me, it was just, this is a news story. That's all that it was to me at the time. So,
were you told what to ask? Because
I actually had my kind of free reign there. It was literally just like, if there is a bruise, film it. That's really all that mattered. Because any sound, but I think it's with a story like that, you just expect that the celebrity is instructed not to say anything, especially when they're filing a restraining order. They're not going to say anything. So, but everything that needs to be said is said by her walking out with a bruise on her face. But I did have my own questions. That's, just in case. So I was prepared, but I also didn't do the best job because I was getting banged around a little bit by all these camera guys. But no, I did not have prescribed questions for that.
I mean, just an image alone is the most damning evidence you can have. I mean, after, I think back to just Chris Brown and Rihanna and just that image that you see of her face so bruised and battered. I mean, that's what you get when you look at this photo. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all you needed. It's interesting how all of this has played out to the point where she left court owing him $10 million. But I do wonder, like, where did that bruise come from then? Like, and I know the cops that showed up the night that all this went down said they didn't see anything on her face at that time. So where did the bruise come from? That's all. I'm just curious. And it's so hard because obviously abuse is not like a joking topic by any means, but where did it come from?
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta say, without Johnny Depp fans coming after me for saying this, because they will, it's like, it's gotten so toxic that if you say one thing, you're gonna get a whole bunch of people on the internet coming after you, like with like what they perceive to be their own facts. I didn't get the sense from looking at it that it was done with makeup, but I'm also not I'm not a professional makeup artist. I don't know how do you apply a bruise. It looked like a real bruise to me. Mm-hmm. Just being right there, standing 4 feet from her and looking at it. I mean, it looked like a real bruise. It was like, it had the discoloration and everything like that. So it was.
I can tell you, makeup is insane. I went to a fair once, and it was like literally they just had like special effects makeup artists, and they gave me this black eye that looked so realistic. It had bruising, it had little bits of blood, like it was the craziest thing, and it looked so real. I'm not saying that's what she did. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's what she did. I'm just saying, yes, like makeup can do amazing things, and I mean that's why Hollywood is so successful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't doubt it. It's just, it didn't even cross my mind at the time, just because it was, let's get the shot. It's like, that was like a story. It didn't even cross my mind that it was like a faked incident. I didn't know who it was from. I was just, it wasn't like it wasn't something that I was going to draw conclusions about. It was just get the shot, ask questions later.
What was the buzz like outside the courthouse? When Amber walked out, she had the bruise on her face. Every camera is aimed at her. The second she got in the car and drove away, what was it like for you and everyone else that was out there?
It's a race to be first. It's a race to be who's the first one that's going to send it in. And I'm literally... I don't know if I had my live stream kit with me that day, because that would be the fastest way I would get my footage in. I don't remember, but I might have had it. That might have been one of those situations where as soon as you film, you are submitting it via a live stream, a live link directly into the system. But everybody just immediately ran to their computers, and it was like the buzz there is people aren't talking. Nobody's talking to each other. They're just all running away from each other and trying to send the footage in, send the pictures in.
What about the moment she walks out and this elusive bruise that you guys have heard about is actually on her face? Is there a gasp? Is there just screaming starts up when she comes out? Like, what happens then?
I don't remember exactly if it was anything like that. I just remember it was loud, everybody trying to get a question out. And so generally, like in a situation like that, media will allow other media members to get their questions out, right? Because if they assume that they might get something from it. But in a situation like that, where everybody recognizes like what a big moment it is, everybody's like, I'm not going to wait for you to ask your questions. So we're all firing questions at the same time. So it's just a bunch of like morons yelling things at a certain point. It's incomprehensible. Mm-hmm. So it was that's probably the best way to describe it. Is it wasn't a gasp. It was just, oh, this is a thing. We all have to ask questions now because this is so big.
Did you, so besides shooting that day at that courthouse, you went to the lawyer's office and shot her there?
That wasn't me. That was another camera guy.
Okay.
But I had to cover, when there was a report that Johnny Depp's stuff had been thrown out of their Eastern Columbia penthouse, that I was sent to essentially like just browse the scene to see if it was true that like his cell phone was on the ground, that some of their items were on the ground, which it was talked about in the court case that like Johnny Depp's cell phone had been thrown out and it was found like on Skid Row 3 blocks away, supposedly. So there was like a report that his stuff had been thrown out onto the street by Amber Heard, and I was sent there. I think it was like 4:30 in the morning. I was sent there, and
that is not a safe place at 4:30 in the morning. So
Adam, I did a lot of that stuff.
Adam, I don't know. Do you know where this Eastern building is in downtown LA?
I know Skid Row, but I don't know.
It's legit right next to Skid Row.
Skid Row is it's one of those things where
it is jarring when you.
I don't know. It's like Mad Max. It's wild. It's wild.
It's heartbreitting. It's like the saddest place you can be in LA. It's just tents and boxes and people wandering around. It literally breaks your heart being there. But like literally 2 blocks over is this Eastern building. It's this big green building in downtown Los Angeles where Johnny had his penthouse, and I had a friend that lived in there, so I've been in there. But like, no joke, you're stepping over like numerous homeless people to get into this building. So like when you think of him having a penthouse in beautiful downtown LA, it's not that. It's
not.
It's in a really weird location for Johnny Depp to be living.
And I remember specifically when I was there thinking I was at the wrong building. Just because there's no way this is where I'm supposed to be, but it's like, it's the right address. Everything's right. But it's so, it's not where you'd expect one of the great A-list stars of a generation to be living.
No,
but
all those
Dax is right.
Were beautiful inside. It's just the second you stepped outside, you were transported into another world because it's not Beverly Hills. It's not Malibu. It is literally Skid Row.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I remember that, just thinking that I was at the wrong place, because you're right. It was. I'm pretty sure I was standing there trying to take photos because there were security guards driving around. Like Johnny and Amber's security detail was looping around the property. I'm guessing they were looking for the phone. Yeah, is my guess. And because I couldn't see anything, I was too late. I didn't get anything on camera. I just got like B-roll on my phone, and. I remember them driving around and like some homeless people walking around, and just, I'm like, okay, I assume I'm at the right place because that looks like a celebrity car, but it's not. It doesn't feel like a celebrity home. It was very strange.
No. Jess, you're now doing YouTube yourself. You know, obviously you did a video kind of talking about your experience working, because Morgan was... You know, he was a dispatcher essentially, and you were the actual guy doing the groundwork. But you did this YouTube video that took off, that went viral, and now you got this YouTube channel. What is the YouTube channel?
It's called The Front Row.
Row.
So, yeah, with my last name, Rowe. Yeah, it's been crazy because it's something I always wanted to do. I didn't tell you guys about it last time because at the time that I talked to you guys, I had like 17 followers. I had just started it. It wasn't anything. I didn't even know what it was yet. And I genuinely didn't think anything was going to go anywhere.
And then it blew up.
And then I watched the testimony from Morgan, and he talked about... I wouldn't have done it had he not talked about the day with the bruise with Amber at the courthouse, because that was my only firsthand experience with what had happened, about things that they were talking about. And I decided, you know, this Johnny Depp stuff is, I don't know if you guys realize this, how much of a gold mine it has been for digital creators and streamers and YouTubers who literally like have built massive platforms just from the past month and a half of this case.
Oh yeah.
And it was literally like 2 days left, and I didn't plan on dipping my toes into it. I had no interest really. I didn't want to build a channel off of something like this. It wasn't something that interested me. But then when that happened, it interested me because I felt like I had a unique angle that people would be interested in just because they hadn't heard any like firsthand experience with Amber that day that's been referenced so many times in this case. So I made the video and I told my story, and just kind of, I poked a little bit of fun here and there, and I just kind of gave the best account I could without confirming or denying anything that was said, because I wasn't in the office. I have no idea. I don't know. That could have come from, the info could have come from anyone, right? All I knew was get the shot of the bruise. And I posted the video. Well, actually, no, what happened was it sat on my computer for 2 days because I was so unsure if I wanted to post it. And it just sat there. I filmed it the night of his testimony, and it just sat there on my computer. And then 3 nights ago, I just decided, screw it. It's public interest. People will probably like it. I'm like, I'll get like maybe 5,000 views. that was my thinking. I didn't think anything of it. I had 22 subscribers when I posted it. And a day later, all of a sudden I wake up and it's got like 10,000 views, and I have like 100 new subscribers. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on? I wasn't expecting this. And I'm getting text messages from a few of my friends who follow me saying that they're seeing my video in like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard Reddit forums. Oh, wow. Like people are sharing it. And that's never happened to me before. I've seen my videos on national television, right? I've seen my interviews and my clips. So I'm used to that, but I'm not used to my face being on something that's like being talked about and things like that. And here we are 2 days later. I wake up this morning and it has over 100,000 views, and I'm up to like 520 subs, and I've gotten 400 today alone and 70,000 more views, and I'm about to cross 200. I'm probably at like, I've literally been gaining a subscriber every 2 minutes, and it's just been an absolute roller coaster. It's been insane. I couldn't believe it as it was happening, but I say in the video, I kind of always knew this was going to come back just because that day was so crazy. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy I got a chance to sort of share my side of it, because I knew that it would. I knew that somebody would be interested in it. I didn't know that this many people would be interested in it.
That's amazing. Congrats, dude. That's huge. I do want to ask you. So Morgan Tremaine said on the stand during the Johnny Depp court hearing, he said B-list celebs will tip off camera people. Has it ever been A-list celebs tipping off camera people that you would know of?
Yes, but it's probably one you would expect, which is like Kim Kardashian or like Paris. Paris Hilton's not an A-lister, but she's more B-lister for sure. But Kim Kardashian, don't let anybody tell you that when the Kardashians turn away from photographers, that they didn't want them to be there. It's it's the only time that they didn't want them to be there is if Kim is like in like unflattering gym attire or something, or like those are the only times. But if they are dressed up and cameras are there and they're not talking, or they're like trying to ignore it, I mean, it doesn't matter. They probably had something to do with photographers being there.
And there is a reason that they are the most successful family on the planet, is because they know how to work the cameras. They know how to work their connections with agencies and websites and everything. And that is why they are so damn successful.
Yep.
I love it.
I mean, I don't have that kind of shame that I'm not that kind of shameless that they are. And that's a compliment is what I'm saying. They are not, they put themselves out there and they know how to monetize it and work it, and good for them. I mean, I
wish my last name was Kardashian. Dax Kardashian.
When I started, yeah, it has a ring to it. When I started with TMZ like 10, 12 years ago, I mean, Kim was just the girl in the sex tape. Yep. And here we are now, and it's like she's freeing people from prison. So, like, she's come a long way. More power to him. Pretty impressive.
Awesome.
Jesse, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it, guys. Make sure you check out his YouTube page. It's he's gonna be doing a lot more content up there. It's just really well edited and it's well spoken. And Jesse's a good dude. I can't wait to have him on next. Tell some more of his camera stories as him being a
Ventures
journalist.
in the wild, as we say. Adventures out in the field.
I plan on sharing some on my channel, but not ones that I've shared here. I'll keep these exclusively for you guys. But I do think that they're interesting. So I think that's why what you guys do is so cool, because I think that people are interested in stuff like that. So, thank you guys for having me. Please, if you want to subscribe while it's viral, The Front Row. It's
Rowe.
It should be fun.
Name. Yes. And by the way,
sir.
and if this is your first introduction to Jesse, go back and also listen to our first interview with Jesse. A lot of great stuff at that point. And I mean, damn, dude, you just keep coming with the heat every time you coming on here. I love it. So if you got any, we have any other.
Last time I was with you guys, I was
talk about. Let us know for sure.
Last time I was with you as a private investigator, and now I'm a YouTuber. I'm just all over the place. So, yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you, Jesse.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, buddy.
Dude,
I love
so fun to have Jesse on.
Jesse's great.
This guy is awesome, and he always comes with just the best stories, such a good perspective on things. I didn't think we'd have him back so fast, but what a perfect moment to have him back. I had no idea. I don't remember him saying that he was the one that filmed Amber when we had him on the first time. Or maybe it just went over my head because the Amber and Johnny stuff hadn't started yet. So it was just kind of a random story that he mentioned. I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, and I mean, Jesse was the court guy. He dealt with he was dealing with celebrities at their worst, and it sounds crazy because, when you're at court, it's usually nothing good. And, from divorces to domestic abuse to DUIs, Jesse was covering that stuff. Someone just finds out they're bankrupt. Celebrities don't want to see you at court. Yep. It's just an embarrassing thing. Unfortunately, they're a public figure, so there's going to be media there. And Jesse was the one taking the punches, sometimes literally, and because he's gotten to some scuffles, but he's been on the front lines of some of the biggest news stories in the world. So make sure you check out Jesse's YouTube.
The Front Row, Rowe, like his last name.
Yeah. So thank you, Jesse. If you like this podcast, go to iTunes. Put in Hollywood Raw. Go to the bottom. You can leave a review. Put 5 stars. Say a few kind words. If you do that, we'll actually read your review live on air. It's the best thing you do to support this podcast.
Don't forget to subscribe while you're there and doing it.
Yeah, man. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. Twitter. We're on it all. We got a private Facebook group you can find on our Facebook page where you can ask us questions.
And that's off the record. And you'll find, so you go find Hollywood Raw on Facebook, and then look for the private Facebook page. We obviously have to let you in. We ain't just letting all the riffraff in. That's why it's private. And then, you've got direct access to us. You can ask us questions. You guys can talk to each other. I see a lot of banter going on now about episodes that people really liked, and they're pointing other people back to them. We're giving up exclusive information that we don't give out here on the podcast. So it's a fun little group if you truly enjoy listening to the podcast. It's kind of a secondhand experience, and no, we don't charge for it. It's free.
Yes. You can find me at Adam Glyn, Glyn. You can find Dax Holt at DaxHolt. That's Dax Holt. We'll see you guys next time. Adios. Ciao for now. Popeye.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on. Let's go.